So back in elementary school, we had this guy that would come in every week to tell us stories. First off, I don't even know how you get a job like that. I don't know if he just walked into school and was like, I want to work here. And the principal's like, okay, what do you want to teach? Like math or science or something? And he's like, nah, I want to tell stories to the children. And she's like, you want your job to be telling kids stories? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, okay, well, you start tomorrow. So he would come every week and be like, all right, sit down, kids. Today, I'm going to tell you a story. And Sally's like, what's the story about, sir? And he's like, well, maybe if you could shut the fuck up for 2 seconds, Sally, I tell you what the fuck it is. So today's story is called The Tomorrow Monkeys. He told us a story about some monkeys that always play every day, even though they were supposed to be building a shelter because it would rain at night, and they never built the shelter. And the moral of the story is don't put off what you can do today for tomorrow. And he had some nice stories like that where the moral made sense, but he also had some other stories where the moral really didn't apply to life at all. Like he had one story about a fox. He's like, so once upon a time, there was a fox who had the power to take out his eye 3 times, and after the 3rd time, it wouldn't go back in his head. Like, what the fuck is this story possibly going to teach us? That's the most random plot I've ever heard in my life. But he went on, he was like, so one day this fox was in the forest and he took out his eye, and a rabbit was like, yo, did you just take your eye out? And the fox was like, yeah, I'd be doing that shit. I'd be taking my eye out and shit. And the rabbit's like, yo, that's crazy, bro, do it again. And the fox wasn't sure if he should because he was like, I can really only do this one more time or else my eye won't come back. But the rabbit's like, I don't care, bro, do it again now. So the fox took out his eye again and put it back. Then all the rabbit's friends came and he was like, yo, my friends are here, show my friends you can take out your eye. And he's like, I can't, I'm gonna lose my eye. But the rabbits were like, yo, what are you, a fucking pussy? You're a pussy that can't take his eye out? And the fox is like, fine, I'll take out my eye. And he took out his eye and he couldn't put it back in because it was the 3rd time. And my teacher said the moral of that story is that you shouldn't show off. But that's such a specific way of showing off that literally wouldn't apply to any human being ever. The only way I can see that applying in real life is if you're at home taking a shit, you just took a monster dump. This shit is huge. So you tell a friend you took a huge shit and they're like, wow, that's pretty big, but I bet you couldn't do it again. So to prove it wrong, you sit back on the toilet and find whatever shit is still left inside of you, and you take a second monster shit. And the friend is like, wow, you do be taking big shits, bro. I gotta show more people. So he has his friends come over and he's like, okay, take another big shit. But at this point, you've already taken 2 massive shits. You barely were able to pull off the second one. There's no way you could take a shit of that caliber a 3rd time. But you try it anyway, and you squeeze your fucking cheeks until instead of shitting out shit, you shit out your organs and you die. That's the only practical example of that lesson I can think of. I literally can't see any other way of how that would apply to the real world. Anyway, that guy later got arrested for touching children. I'm just kidding, he didn't, but it would be funny if he did, right? Maybe not.